Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Demartini. I hope that you have a lovely setting that you're sitting in. And we have a very, very important topic today that I'd like to have a share session on, and that is on self-mastery. You know, that's, I don't know about your life, and you will have to look inside and self-reflect on this, but I know for myself that when I was around 18 years old, particularly 18 to 20, I heard the term mastery. And I heard a master's degree. I've heard of various terms applied with the term mastery. But inside myself, I had a desire to master my life. It just sounded cool. I didn't really know what it was immediately, but I wanted to master my life. As I went on the pursuit of wanting to master my life, I had to define what the hell that was. What on earth is that? And I gradually, over time, came to the realization that there were certain areas that I wanted to be proficient in and masterful at. I knew initially that I wanted to overcome my learning problems because I had learning challenges when I was young. And I wanted to master reading. I wanted to master learning. I wanted to master my vocabulary. I wanted to master knowledge. I wanted to master a number of ologies. In fact, when I was 18, I read European philosophers of the Western world from Nietzsche, Descartes to Nietzsche, or Nietzsche, Descartes, I think it was. And when I read René Descartes' background, he was a man of letters, and I knew that I wanted to become knowledgeable, polymathic, and disciplined in many disciplines. So I knew I wanted to master that. That was my first area that I wanted to master: learning, education, knowledge, vocabulary, reading, and things of that nature. That led me to the second one that I wanted to master, and that is health area. I wanted to master physiology, and all the disciplines revolving around the health area. That led me to study embryology, physiology, gross anatomy, myology, syndesmyology, cardiology, everything about the body, down to the quantum level. So from 18 to 20s, early 20s, it was mainly about learning. And then it started to move really more into the physical body learning. And there was a time, and it's still pretty fresh in my mind, that I could take gross anatomy and break it down all the way to the quantum level. Every body, the systems, the organs, the tissues, the cells, the molecules, the atoms, the subatomic particles, the quantum level, to theoretical atomic physics. I wanted to master that. I wanted to master my mind capacity to absorb that and use that. Then I hit around 23, and I realized that I got to pay for school. And so I had a yearning to kind of learn a little bit about business and figure out a way of paying for school and paying for everything: apartment, books, everything I wanted to buy, because I want to buy books. I want to learn about health books, a lot of health books. I was buying 40 to 70 books a week on average, and I'd pay for that. So I was now wanting to master the teaching process, even though I'd been doing some tutoring and teaching up to that point freely and with a little tutoring income. I want to now master a little bit about business and teaching and presenting. So I want to master my ability to start speaking and learn how to make some money doing it so I could pay for everything. And that went on to around 27. 27, I opened up my practice, and I realized that I wanted to master not only my mind, I still didn't throw that away. My body, didn't throw that away. I was practicing now. My business was now learning how to flourish. And I pick up Alec McKinsey's book and learn how to manage time and use my time effectively. But at age 27, 28, I had a gentleman come in my office that inspired me to want to master now finance. And I knew somehow innately that I wanted to be financially independent, but I didn't have any idea how the hell that was going to happen. But I had this assumption that it was destined for me, but I didn't know what that meant. And so I set out to master that. So now I've got from intellectual pursuits to physical pursuits to business pursuits to now financial pursuits. Right about that time, I realized that a female came into my life, and it became my first wife. And man, I had a real learning curve there. I had a massive learning curve there because I was used to being kind of by myself and occasional dating and stuff like that. But I was now learning how to self-reflect, communicate, manage a house, and doing business and finance, and now putting on relationships. And it was like, that was a real hurdle for me. Learning how to communicate effectively, because I kind of had a reclusive life before that. And then obviously I had to go and network myself and expand myself and socially network myself. So I was out socially networking in order to grow my practice. The more people you meet and greet, the more you treat, kind of thing. So then I became more intrigued by that. All along, I was interested in spirituality. And during my 20s, I was also studying comparative religions. I wrote a book on the Tree of Life on comparative religions, which I didn't publish, but I used in other programs. And so slowly but surely, from age 18 to around 28, all 7 areas of life emerged as important to me. And I got clearer as that decade went on, how important it was for me to go and master all of them. Right around that time, 83, 84, I started teaching a Human Quest series. And I learned that if I want to learn something and master something, if I teach it, it helps, because it kind of forces me to research and find out what the great mentors in those areas are, and what their knowledge is. And I wanted to know what the most universal principles are in each of these areas, to try to distill it down. Because every time I'd go to a seminar, on relationships, and it didn't match business. It was disjointed as heck. And so I was looking for seminars that could put it all together to master my life, all areas. And no matter what I did, I couldn't find exactly that. And I realized it wasn't something I was going to find, it's something I was going to create. And I created the Human Quest series, where I put a one-day program together for each of the 7 areas of life for 2 purposes. One, I wanted to share because I had learned already and proven to myself that the faster I give out information, the more I retain it. So that means if I teach it to somebody and I give what I'm learning to somebody, I tend to recall it more. And so I had a motive for my own self to learn and to teach, but I had the absolute inspired fulfillment of watching other people get that information and gradually making an impact on their life. And they're saying, thank you. And it's meaningful for me to go make a difference in people's lives. So I got the win. I got the win of making a difference in people's lives and learning. And so I then realized that mastery was not just me isolating as an island by myself, learning how to do all this. It's also sharing that and doing what I can to help other people. And I realized that if I help other people get what they want to get in life, I get what I want to get in life, kind of like Zig Ziglar taught me. And so self-mastery became the mastery of all 7 areas. And the Human Quest series, somebody came down and would come to the one-day program, then have to go back. And eventually somebody said, well, John, can't you just put them all together? We can come down one time and just spend a week with you. And that's how the Prophecy One experience came about. And the Prophecy One experience started really in 1984 as the Human Quest series. And then in 1989-90, it got collated into a 7-day program. And so ever since then, I've been adding and refining. So that program has been evolving since before 1984, because the gathering of information started before that. So I've been refining and updating that program all these years, over 30-something years, almost 40 years. And what's interesting is every time I find something along the journey that I find that helps me understand another piece of the jigsaw puzzle on mastery of life, I put it into that program and the other programs I do to try to share that, because of the realization that if I help other people learn the information, it helps me. And I have a narcissistic need to want to master my own life, and have an altruistic need to want to serve other people and master theirs, because it is absolutely inspiring to share information and then get thank you letters and go, hey, this worked and this is what's happening and everything else. Most of my gratitudes on a daily basis are not only what I get to do and what I set out to do, but also the feedback I'm getting from students around the world. And that's that's purely inspirational at times. So self-mastery became all 7 areas. And every one of my programs that I teach today is a dual purpose. One for me to master and keep mastering my life. Because I had a dream to, and you may have this, I hope you do. I had a dream to create original ideas that serve humanity. I wanted to come up with original friggin' ideas, because every time I studied great minds, and I've studied thousands of them, the great philosophers, the great Nobel Prize winners, the great religious leaders, the great inventors, etc. Anybody that did exceptionally amazing, life-changing work, world-changing work, I want to know what they're doing. I want to own the traits of those individuals. I want to stand on their shoulders, and I want to contribute that way. So to me, I started to clearly define in my own master plan what it looked like, and kept typing and refining what it looked like about mastery. So I knew that I wanted to create original ideas. I wanted to create something, because I saw so many people out there rehashing the same stuff, putting in a few different words, but it's the same stuff. I want to create original ideas that have never been thought of or never been packaged the way it is, and deliver that. Original ideas that serve humanity. That's been my affirmation. Literally before I was 20 years old, I had that affirmation right at 20. I create original work that serves. I create original work that serves humanity. Create original work that serves humanity. I hope you say the same thing to yourself. It does make a difference, because it keeps you alert to refreshingly getting new information from whatever source, and putting it together and integrating it and coming up with something that's new. Something that's filling a need, that solution. Like when I saw people grieving and I found a solution for grief in the Demartini method, side C, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for solutions. I had a dream to take physiology, psychology, sociology, theology, and make a hard science out of it. Because it was such a pseudoscience. It was such a wishy-washy thing, and it's so many diversities, and there's opinions. I want to make a reproducible, duplicatable, scientific, objective mechanism in each of those areas. Why do we create illness, and what do we do about it? How do we dissolve our emotional baggage, and how do we clear it, and what emotions are? I want to make it a science out of it. The same thing in sociological function. So there's no disorder going on. There's in the apparent chaos, there's a hidden order. I want to help people see the hidden order, so they understand why things are happening in their life and what they're doing to create those, and why they're manifesting those. And theology, I want to get rid of the bullshit that's out there, excuse the expression, the opium for the masses that sells the fantasy of the afterlife, and an eschatology that has no basis in reality at all, but it sells to the dopamine needs. I want to wake people up to what's their thing is. So I set out to master that area, and read every single friggin' thing I can get my hands on in that area, and learn as much as I can from mentors, etc., in that area. I want to create the broadest, most in-depth information I could in that area. And I want you to do the same in whatever that area. You want to be an expert in whatever the area that is deeply meaningful to you, because you will spontaneously want to learn what's most important to you. And whatever's highest on your values, what's most important, you want to become excellent at that. Be the greatest at that, whatever that is. And I don't know what that is, but it may be social things, it may be relationship things, health things. I wanted it all. I didn't think that mastery is mastering one area and then being, an idiot in others. I see people that do really well in their business and have just loving relationships. I see people doing really well in their finances, but can't maintain their health, and have diabetes and overeating. And I wanted to go and exemplify a mastery in all 7. And I'm absolutely certain it can be done. I also wanted to create a global business. I knew since I was 17 that I wanted to step foot in every country on the face of the earth. I knew I wanted to teach in every country. I knew I wanted to have my information out there. I didn't know how it was going to be done. I didn't know there was no internet. There was no even computers back then. But now with the technology, we can do that. But I've been traveling extensively just so I can go there. I even live on the world so I can travel to those countries, so I can share information there. So mastery is whatever is true for you. What do you want in your business? And everybody's in a business, even if you're not in a formal business, you're raising 3 kids or 2 kids or something. or even one child, that's a business. That's a product you're putting out into the world that's going to give you a return. So everybody's in some form of business and creating how you want it. You may not want a global business, but today it's almost impossible not to have it because it's the internet world. But I want to have a global impact. I want to have something. I defined it. I wrote it out. I clarified it. I work on it. I refine it. I gradually take steps towards it. And time times intensity gives results. The more intensity you focus on it, the more you get it. So I wanted to do that. You have to decide what you want, because any area of your life you don't decide and you don't empower, somebody else is going to overrule you and decide for you and rob the power. So I wanted to create original ideas that served and grow my mind. I wanted to grow in big business around the world. I didn't want to be trapped. I wanted to do what I love doing and be achieving at it. And I didn't want to compare myself to somebody that's got an Amazon business or something that I didn't have a love for doing. I'm not interested in that. I'm appreciative. I respect them for doing amazing business, but that's not the business I want. I wanted to be a teacher in the teaching business of sharing information. You need to define what it is you want to do in your business, whatever that is. Then I wanted to have financial independence. That's one that started around 27, 28. And I was determined to figure out how to do that. And I finally came up with a strategy, which I call the Force Accelerated Savings Technique and Force Accelerated Investment Technique. And that single-handedly changed my financial destiny. I saved like clockwork. I've been disciplined on that. I've consistently do it. I've reached a point where the money is now making the money and passively exceeding the income that is active. And I'm absolutely certain that that's doable if you're patient, persistent, automated electronically, and focus on serving people. You're not going to do that. And I know you can master your life in that area too, but you have to have a value on it. So I had to teach people how to raise the 6 steps to wealth, to raise up the value of wealth building. So you automate it and structure it and serve people. If you don't want to serve people, you don't want to structure it where it's put into investments and buy assets, and you keep wanting immediate gratification, you're not going to get there. And then that one holds you back in so many areas. Some people say, well, I'm not into the financial, and that's not my thing. It's foolish. God, wake up. All 7 areas, to me, are necessary if you want to master your life. All 7. That's why I teach all 7. That's why every seminar I do is around those 7 areas. Because I'm absolutely certain people who master all those 7 areas have a more fulfilled life than people that got 2 of them. Because they're struggling on the other areas all the time and distracted by these other areas. Then relationships. There's no reason why. What I explain to people is nothing's missing in your life. It's always there. It's in a form that's based on your values, knowing your values and knowing how you're creating what you want in life. And nothing's ever missing in relationship area. And to me, empowering that is extremely powerful. That's the most important one, actually, because your relationship is going to be with people and your loved ones. You're going to have people in your social life, people, your colleagues, clients. Learning the art of that and the science of living according to values is essential. So that's an area that we all have to master. We can't avoid that. We can't live reclusively. I mean, there's been a few people. Sir Isaac Newton was very reclusive, but later on, he became one of the most famous individuals in all of Europe. But he had thousands of people around him. But he had to master relationships over time, because initially he had that reclusively. Now, he got a lot of work done during that time, a lot of research done that time, but it wasn't until he interacted with people that he actually got his message out into the world significantly. So you want to be able to master the art of communicating in people's values and have the love and intimacy and realize it's always there, and identify the form it is according to your values, and know that if you want to shift your values, you can change the form. So to me, that's essential. And obviously social influence. If you're not remembered and there's no legacy and you didn't do anything, you're probably not going to make the biggest difference in the world. Everybody I've spoken to, no matter where it is, whether it's a prison or it's a government or whatever, if I ask them how many want to make a difference, every hand goes up. We want to make a difference, and we want to stand out. We want to contribute, and there's no reason why we can't. But we have to awaken our leadership, which demands us we living by our own highest values and priorities, and be authentic with it. And so I wanted to exemplify leadership in my area. I didn't want to be a leader in sales or a leader in marketing. I want to be a leader in knowledge. I want to have the broadest, vastest, most comprehensive, most in-depth knowledge on human behavior on this planet. That's my dream. And I'm, by God, not going to stop until that's real and it's manifesting like it is now. So when it comes to that topic, that's the area. You want to find out what that is that you want to lead in and give yourself permission to lead. I'm not the greatest in marketing, like I said, I'm not the greatest in technology and stuff like that. I don't want to compete in that area. I don't have a desire to. I have a desire to take the area that inspires me and fill my day with what inspires me. And I want you to do the same. I want you to live your life with an inspiration, not out of duty to what you think it should be or ought to be or supposed to be by society. I want you to go and fulfill your life and master your life the way it is designed by you. If you don't design it, other people design it. You live by duty. And physically, I want to have a vital, youthful, energized body. I still have more energy than most people, and I'm 60, going on 66 now. And I went surfing on my 65th birthday on the North Shore of Oahu, which is a goal I had for 49 years, waiting for the 65th birthday to surf right there at Laniakea and Haleiwa and North Shore Pipeline, Ika Beach Park area. And I did it. And so I just went jogging this morning, and I did a little exercise this morning. And I'm a firm believer that you can have a vital, healthy body. I have some challenges at 66, like most people do, but that's part of the 50 and over stage. But the reality is that you can get a lot out of this body, and you can do a lot with it. You can feel energized and feel youthful and appreciate each stage of your life. But I believe that your vitality is directly proportional to the vividness of your vision, the clarity of your vision. And if you're clear about your values, and there's no reason why you can't do that. I also, and I eat wise. I don't live to eat, I eat to live. I eat moderately and keep very little volatilities. And I drink a lot of water, and I breathe deeply, and I do those things. And I'm a firm believer that you can maximize your performance there. And also spiritually, I'm a firm believer that I have no interest. In my teens and 20s, all the way to 30, I subordinated to religions and religious leaders. And I would go and I would study at the Hare Krishna temple. I'd go to the mosques. I'd go to the synagogue. I'd go to the churches. I'd go to the meditation retreats. I'd go to the yogi centers. I was studying comparative religion and philosophy at the time and studying the traditional spiritual traditions. And I just subordinated to it and just thought, well, these things know because they've been around here now. Then I started at age 30 when I realized that there's a lot out there. As Dirac said, it's not that we don't know so much, we know so much that, and so I realized that some of the stuff out there was not grounded. It was kind of airy-fairy, and it was basically delusional. And pardon me if that offends you, but it's freaking true. It's an opium of the masses, and it sells fantasies, and it uses guilts and fears and karmic rules and all this other stuff that, in my opinion, rob people of their empowerment and the mastery in the 7 areas of life. So I wanted to create a spiritual questing vehicle that anybody from any faith or belief system could use that can help them have a spiritual experience without having to be caught in any dogma, a universal panpsychic realization that we live in a magnificent universe and we're part of that magnificent universe, and that there really is nothing but love and all else is illusion. And there's a way of living congruently in alignment in an inspired fashion daily in that way. And I'm absolutely certain that's doable. And it's a very inspiring and grateful place to be. And there's no, shoulds and ought tos and supposed tos and imperatives and rights and wrongs and moral and hypocrisies that are associated with it. There's no, this is the sacred place and this isn't, and my group's better than your group and all. None of that tribal thinking. It's a universal design and a universal expression of inspiration for people. And I believe that if you're doing all those areas and empowering all those areas, you can have that. There's no reason why you can't master all areas of your life. To me, self-mastery is the empowerment of all 7 areas of life. And if you don't like those 7 and you divide life into 6 or 8 or 9, fine. It's just a model, because everybody puts things in different categories. But those are the categories I use, and that doesn't make them right. It just means that those are the categories I've used. But I'm a firm believer that you can do that, and I'm damn sure living it, and I'm exemplifying. I know it's possible, and it's inspiring to get up in the morning and know that you can contribute and expand and empower all areas. And there's no reason why you can't. And don't let anybody tell you you can't, because it's not true. But there are principles and there are methods that help. If you learn them, they help. You know, there's certain principles. Every one of those mastery areas have principles and methods that you can follow. And if you follow them, you get there. You know, in my master planning program, I put the questions to help awaken. In prophecy, I put the actions to do. And owning the traits of the great and great, so I put how to level that and realize at the level of the soul, nothing's missing you. At the level of the senses, things are missing in you and your perception. You think they are anyway, because you're too proud and too humble to admit, because you're comparing yourself to other people and judging them instead of loving people. So I'm absolutely certain if you understand those principles and methods, it can catalyze an expansion of who you are in all those areas. And by God, since I was a young teenager, I've had a dream to master the areas of life. And I did not start out at that mastery. You know, I had learning problems as a child. I was living on the streets as a teenager. I lived in a tent, I almost died, and my health almost died as a teenager. I did not start there, but damn sure finishing there. So I'm absolutely certain that you have the capacity, no matter what you've been through, what you're going through, what you're experiencing, you have the capacity to master those areas. And I love doing that. I love sharing that. I love researching that. I love imparting that. I love engaging people with that, because it is so rewarding to know that you can do it and watch people do it. So don't let anybody on this planet keep you or subordinate to them thinking you can't. And there are many people living in mediocrity that have accepted conformity and lived in the shadows of people that are going to naysay you. And you can't let the voices on the outside interfere with the dream you have on the inside to go do something extraordinary with your life. Your life is your life, and nobody's going to dedicate their life to your life. You're it. So please give yourself permission to shine and let yourself master all areas. And let me help you do that. And I'd like to share something here. I was speaking in South Africa a few years back in a planetarium to a white PO group. And I was doing a presentation, as it says here, Awaken Your Astronomical Vision. We go through here, and many of us live with a small, narrow-mindedness. And we look out in the world and we feel overwhelmed by the world around us. Instead of having a broad-mindedness, a celestial vision looking down. I learned from Rupert Murdoch when I was having dinner with him one night. You know, I asked him how he built his media empire. And he said he takes a globe in his hand and he spins it around. He goes, what message do I want to bring to what country today? He had a celestial view looking down on the earth, and the earth was a tiny little thing he was playing with. Well, I've had an astronomical vision. I study astronomy. I'm finishing up a 750-page textbook right now on astronomy that I'm writing. I believe that having an astronomical vision gives you a global life. But if you're not going to outgrow your size of your vision. So I'm going to give you this gift. I want you to take it. I want you to listen to it multiple times, because I know it'll make you think, it'll make you stretch, it'll make you get creative, it'll make you come up with new ideas. It will help you as a catalyst to start thinking maybe outside the box, and to give yourself permission to maybe go and expand all 7 areas. So it's Awakening Your Astronomical Vision. It's a live presentation to very successful individuals, achieving people at a planetarium as a metaphor to think outside the confines, like Richard Branson's doing, and Elon Musk is doing. They're thinking astronomically. That's why they're creating global effects. I want you to do that because you're capable of doing it. It takes no more effort to do that than it does to do something small. So I want you to be able to have a profound impact. And this little video, I know, this little audio gift, pardon me, will help you. So please take that, watch it, or listen to it a number of times. I say watch it because I'm seeing it in my mind as I'm presenting it, but listen to it multiple times and think about how you want your life. If you dominate your thoughts, your vision, your internal dialogue, your feelings, and your actions on what it is that you would love in each area, you will move in that direction, and you will notice the opportunities around you and synchronize to help you get there. So hopefully this little 15, 20 minute, or however long I've been, 30-minute presentation here will be a catalyst to start your day with. And please take advantage of the free gift. Use it, listen to it over and over and over again, and join me for these programs and the other programs I'm doing, because I can't help you if I can't reach you. And if you know somebody that is not knowing about this, if you, while you're listening to this, in fact, if you're hearing in your head, God, I wish my friend would have heard this, then share it with them. Please let this get out to people, because there's people out there that don't even know they can do more with their lives. And they're just going through a routine instead of setting the routine that they dream about. So thank you for spending the time with me. Take advantage of the gift. Take advantage of my 47, almost 48 years of research. And I look forward to seeing you at the next presentation. We have another webinar coming up just in a couple hours. Please take advantage of it. And also all the programs I do, please take advantage of it. Don't reinvent a wheel when you can stand on the shoulders of other giants. I've been standing on giants for all these years. You can stand on my shoulders and go farther. And then I get to have the fulfillment of watching that happen. So I'll see you at the next time. Take advantage of the gift. Thank you. Love you. Go for it. Make it happen. Master your life. Thank you for joining me for this presentation today. If you found value out of the presentation, please go below and please share your comments. We certainly appreciate that feedback. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification icons. That way I can bring more content to you and share more to help you maximize your life. I look forward to our next presentation. Thank you so much for joining me.